Welcome back from the break. You're still watching This Week, and I'm Samna Sambo. Now, also in the week, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Maitama Tuggar, and the Governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, disagreed over the state of affairs in their home state and Nigeria, accusing each other of failing to fulfill official obligations amid accusations of President Tinubu's alleged anti-North policies. The duo have been at loggerheads over the governor's criticism of the tax reform bills. In a statement Wednesday, Dr. Aminu Gamawa, chief of staff to the governor, described Tuggar's actions as, quote, undiplomatic and opportunistic. He says Tuggar's attacks on Bala Mohammed are clearly motivated by his ambition to contest the Bauchi governorship in 2027, but noted that his strategy of maligning the governor allegedly will backfire, as the people of Bauchi have witnessed Bala Mohammed's transformative leadership and will not be swayed by the rhetoric of, quote, an absentee politician. Well, on the current face-off between Tuggar and Governor Bala Mohammed, we still have with us in the studio Ambassador Yusuf Tuggar, who's one of Nigeria's finest diplomats, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Thank you so much for still being here with us. Well, these are very difficult times politically. Coming to domestic issues in your state, home state of Bauchi, I mean, the governor has very, very unkind words for you, saying that you could have done better as minister, but because of your decision to want to contest for 2027, you've been distracted at the national and international level by your ambition to be governor of Bauchi State. How true is that?
Well, the governor knows. He knows that I don't work that way. It's not about governorship or contesting. If it was about a governorship, I wouldn't have been the one that invited him shortly after he had been sworn in as governor. I invited him to Berlin, where I was serving as ambassador, where he signed 5 MOUs. 5 MOUs. With German companies and a German state. And through that initiative, he was able to make perhaps what was the first positive impression of his administration. I organized for him to receive 1,000 what they refer to as mobility cards for the disabled. The pictures are there. The video footage is there. The MOUs that he signed are there for the record. Okay. I then also organized for an NGO called Water is Right. He doesn't know that NGO from Adam. I organized it because the owner of the NGO happens to be someone that I went to school with, a German, and I organized for them to come and fix toilets in all the local governments in their hospitals, state-owned hospitals. He knows that. So if it was about governorship, then I wouldn't have been doing that. I wouldn't want him to look good.
And you have
hit back at him. But now the situation arises where I see him deliberately trying to mislead people and trying to foment, to sow seeds of discord in Nigeria because of his personal ambition, because he thinks that he has no other way to continue hiding behind immunity than to contest for president, because his term will soon end. He ran for governor primarily to get the cover of immunity. Because if you remember here, after he finished all the land grabbing here in the FCT, he ended up in EFCC. And then he had to start pushing to become governor to have that immunity. What did he do when he went to Bauchi State? He took that same template that he was using, because he's been a civil servant and subsequently managed to go into the Senate. Okay, so all he knows is to rely on government, to use his probosis to continue to lap up whatever he can from government. Well, that's all he knows. If you take him out of government, he does not know how to subsist on his own. He's never worked before.
Well, he actually says you are an absentee politician, that you don't know so much that's going on in Bauchi State. And so that's why you can't see all his achievements.
I am a grassroots politician. When I went into politics, I was well over 40 when I went into politics. I was successful in the private sector on my own. Okay, I'd never worked a day in government before I went into politics. And when I went into politics, I ended up contesting for a seat and went to the House of Representatives. He knows that. And when I went to contest for the House of Representatives, I returned to my constituency, which is not an urban constituency. It's a rural constituency. And to date, the member of the House of Representatives from that constituency is somebody that is my political associate. State House of Assembly from that constituency is someone that is my associate, and both are APC because APC won that constituency. So he that is the, what is it? He calls me an absentee. He that is absentee the ever-present politician. Tell me how he couldn't defeat me in my own constituency. How?
Well, the tendency to think that maybe you're a threat to his potential party candidate.
The fact that sometimes I speak air-conditioned English does not mean that I am not a local politician or that I don't know what is happening locally.
Yeah, but he says, I mean, you tried to be governor previously and you didn't succeed. And so he feels he's on ground more than you, and that you don't seem to be seeing his successes just because he criticized President Tinubu's tax reforms.
I contested against his political godfather at the time, Isa Yuguda. As an incumbent, I had the guts, I had the stomach to take on Isa Yuguda at the time when all of them was scurrying and running and hiding. Because he was a senator at the time, but he was too scared to take on Isa Yuguda, his boss. He was special assistant to Isa Yuguda. But I came because I had that independence of mind, okay, and subsistence to be able to take on Isa Yuguda. And at that time, he was busy trying to hide behind me so that he would have some cover from General Muhammadu Buhari at the time, retired, before he had become president. So he knows, so he cannot forget about.
He's accusing you of mismanaging the ECOWAS debacle, saying that you could have done better.
I have said it before.
Under you, a lot of things have gone wrong.
I have said it before. I was not there, President Tinubu was not there when there was a coup in Burkina Faso in 2020, 2021. I was not, sorry, Mali. I was not there. I was not minister, okay? President Tinubu was not president when there was a coup in Burkina Faso, 2022. I was not minister when there was a coup in Niger. So how can you come and now tell me that I am responsible for ECOWAS, for those countries leaving ECOWAS? Nobody will believe you. You see, this thing is simple and straightforward. If he's so fascinated by diplomacy and he's very interested in the field, he can come and take lessons. He can come anytime he's in
right.
Abuja.
Willing to offer him
I would be more than willing to spare 30 minutes, 1 hour, give him some tutorials, then he will understand. But it's not his forte. He should please concentrate on Bauchi. Now he has a chance to continue his land grabbing there. He can continue maybe doing that. But he has to know that this is not something that is sustainable. No, they're not.
Yeah, but do you have a problem with Bala Mohammed criticizing President Tinubu's tax reform policies in such a way that will be beneficial? Because he's saying that these bills will kick against the interests of the North.
Problem with him,
and that the North will pay back. The North won't forget in 2027.
My problem with him is not criticizing President Tinubu. My problem with him is the manner in which he's criticizing President Tinubu. His insincerity. He lacks that sincerity of purpose. He's still simply doing it, okay, to whip up sectional sentiments and create division in Nigeria. to create some kind of north-south dichotomy that he thinks he can take advantage of so that he will continue to enjoy immunity from prosecution.
Isn't it
Should
all
he
fair
be
in
able to run for president? And no, it's not fair. It's not fair.
Yeah,
We have to
did
go
you
back
listen,
to basics.
Honorable Minister, did you listen to the talks by opposition political leaders in the last week, like Atiku Abubakar, and even Nasu El-Rufai, who's in the APC, and all of that? They are saying that the APC-led federal government is not making the conditions
Were
right
they not
for
all in government? Did they not just leave government? Why is it that some people think in a nation of 220 million people that they have some sort of right to perpetuate themselves in government, that they must always be in government? This is our problem.
Well,
and this is why you always have this.
The
moment they find themselves out of government, they start grouping together to find a way to come back into government. And sometimes you will see that some of those people, the moment a slight door is opened, left ajar, and they're invited to come and take one position or the other, they come running. So this insincerity has to stop.
Well, this is some of the policies being put in place by your principal, President Tinubu, seems to be anti-North, and that is a groundswell of, anti-Tinubu sentiments ongoing in the North now, and he may not survive 2027. How do you reply these critics?
It is a dangerous narrative that they are creating. There is no iota of truth in that. And you can see even with the governors, when they examined after all the hue and cry, when the tax reform bill was examined, they all endorsed it, including the Bala, because he knew that he would be the
after
only
more consultation,
the odd one out. No, because people sometimes don't even sit down to read these things. Yes, some governors read it and felt that they had to speak out and say, look, we need to look at this thing critically. They had valid points. They had cogent arguments. But all it takes is to ask for explanation, not to start saying, oh, look what is going to happen. The North is going to be marginalized. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Bala is not more northern than me. I'm more northern than Bala. So therefore, he has nothing. He has not earned the right or the credentials. When he was busy serving in Goodluck Jonathan's government, sitting on carpets and all of that, he didn't know sitting on the floor, just so that he would continue to maintain his position. He did not know that there was a North back then. Then all of a sudden, he has discovered that there's a North simply because of immunity.
And it's not only you he's having issues with. I mean, even your colleague, Nyesom Wike of the FCT ministry, is also having issues with him.
Because he's seen the mess that he created. Nyesom Wike is now FCT minister. He has access to the files. He's seen the mess that Bala left in that ministry. And that is why he's so angered by him.
Now, Honorable Minister, do you have a governorship ambition for 2027, and are you already putting structures on ground that's making Governor Bala Mohammed to be a little bit fidgety?
That is not even something that is on my mind at the moment. I have a job to do. I'm doing it, but I'm a stakeholder in Bauchi State. I will continue to pay attention to what is going on in Bauchi, how Bauchi is being governed. So that is a ploy to distract from the look. The issues that I brought up, they're not personal. I'm not attacking Governor Bala on personal issues. I am saying you're land grabbing, you're appropriating land from poor farmers, from herders, from taking grazing reserves, and you're cutting down the wood, turning it into charcoal, selling it with your partners, allowing them to do that. You're going to get commercial loans, okay, to say you're going to farm. You're not you yourself. You're taking land, saying that you're a farmer.
Well, all of a sudden, for agricultural purposes.
All of a sudden, let us see what he has produced out of that. Let us see what he's produced out of that. Dethroning traditional rulers that don't go along with that. These are facts. I have not said anything that is not factual. So the issue of governorship is not what.
Yeah, I mean, you would have also heard what.
If it was the issue of governorship, then I would have started preparing from that time when I invited him in 2019, and I arranged for him to sign those MOUs, and I got funding for him to go and look good by fixing hospital toilets in Bauchi State, in all the local governments.
Minister Tuggar, before I let you go, I just want to ask you this question. Why are top politicians like you all against Bala? I mean, I've seen Yakubu Dogara, former speaker, also had to hit Bala Mohammed so hard, saying that he actually betrayed the trust of people like Nyesom Wiki and others. I mean, why does it look like some of you, the political elites, are just against the governor?
It's simply because there is no other state going through what Bauchi State is going through today. Bauchi State has been pauperized. Okay? Instead of focusing on social services, instead of focusing on infrastructure, he's busy building, expanding a government house. And with variations. It started at 6.6 billion, taking it to 9 point something, taking it to, I think it's about 16.6 billion.
He says and it's then one of the best government houses in Nigeria.
Is that our priority? Is our priority education for out-of-school children, healthcare for the poor, farmers, giving them inputs so that they would be able to farm? Is that not what should be priority? Is it government house? Who asked him to go and build a new government house for us? What is wrong with the one he has now? And where did he get the money all of a sudden to build another mansion in Bauchi while the construction of a government house is going? So this is what is angering people like us, and that is why we're speaking out. And don't forget, to start off, Bauchi State is an agrarian state. It's it's full of agrarian communities, and you're putting those people further into hardship, diverting rivers, creating flooding, creating disasters that are not natural.
All right, I won't let you go, Honorable Minister, after asking two critical questions, away from Bauchi State. Now, the first has to do with why President Tinubu hasn't put in place a mechanism for the quick announcement of new ambassadors. Embassies, consulates, and all of that seem to be suffering. People are saying that, look, it's getting too much. I know some of you said that former President Buhari also did same. But for how long can we continue without substantive ambassadors? And then, secondly, what do you think of Trump's deportation policies, and of course, what measures are you putting in place to safeguard the interests of Nigerians who may be affected and sent back home?
So with the ambassadors, that's above my pay grade. That is a decision that is in the exclusive purview of Mr. President. And it's not for me to decide for him. And remember I said to you that, in my opinion, in terms of timing, temporal considerations, and understanding the intersection between economics and politics, I think he's one of the brighter minds when it comes to that in Nigeria. So he knows best why he's delaying it, and maybe you guys should organize an interview, and then you can, put that question to him. But it does not mean that our missions are not functioning. It doesn't mean that we don't have diplomats out there. We do, okay? We continue to work. Initially, I know that the consideration was funding, because he came and met the country in a huge deficit, some 7 billion or so. Now, we've gone into what, reserves 40 or something like that. So you have to do this. When you post out ambassadors, first of all, you can't send them out without something to work with. Tickets alone for them, their families, okay, their wives, their kids, all of that has to be taken care of. Some places that don't have vehicles, you have to equip and all of that. So the outlay is quite substantial.
All right.
But, I'm not making excuses for him. He knows best. He says he's not ready for that yet. And I'm going by what the president says. But I know that our missions are functioning, and we'll continue to do our best. So I urge you to seek for an interview with him. And
we'll surely do.
You can ask that question. Yeah. Then on Trump's policies vis-a-vis migration and deportations. Even yesterday, I spoke to Chargé d'Affaires in Washington, D.C., and he says he is in constant touch with the U.S. government, and they know exactly the number of those that are being held. It's not like, you know, the figures that other countries have to deal with, thankfully. So we don't know if the situation will change, but we are already making contingency plans to be able to accommodate any such eventuality. So we're on top of it.
All right, we hope they don't come back to Nigeria in chains like we are seeing with other citizens of other countries. But
certainly
just in 30 seconds before I let you go, when former President Yar'Adua came, he had issues, and one of his overarching foreign policy was on citizen diplomacy. We've had others saying there's this economic diplomacy, and others, like, I mean, in the 70s, Africa is the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. What exactly is the overarching policy direction of the Tinubu administration?
Strategic autonomy. We will deal with all countries to protect, improve, and benefit for the benefit of our national interests. This is it. And then, of course, around that, we've got those 4 pillars, the 4 Ds, which is democracy, development, demography, and diaspora. And when I say demography, democracy, don't take it literally. I don't mean that every country has to become democratic in our own image. No, there are different applications or different approaches to democracy, but definitely we are in full support of constitutional governance. So if there's a constitution that protects the fundamental rights of individuals, you know you're on the right path.
All right. Well, we must thank you so much, Ambassador Yusuf Tuggar. And of course, there was this treatise you recently wrote on, foreign policy in a very terrible neighborhood or something like that. Yeah. And I mean, I read it. It was very exciting and educating. We must thank you so much for joining us on this week to actually take a look at what's been happening across the globe, and of course, domestic issues too in your home state of Bauchi State. We've been discussing with the Minister of Foreign Affairs here in Nigeria, Ambassador Yusuf Tuggar, who has been helping us to understand the decision between ECOWAS and the 3 countries that decided to exit the economic bloc. Since 1975, this has been one of the major challenges. And as ECOWAS turns 50, we'll continue to see how the chairman of the ECOWAS, heads of state and government, President Tinubu, will continue to do shuttle diplomacy that hopefully may reduce issues. But that's the much we can take on this edition of This Week. Thanks to our production team here in Abuja, Lagos, and London. To join us same time next week for another exciting edition. I'm Somna Sambu.